Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Sideeq Mohammed. Can we all see my screen? Just give me a nod if you can. Excellent. Thank you. All right. So we are hopefully at the or nearing the end of our applicant journey. You've applied to study at KBS and you're starting to think about getting here, right? So what I want to do today is give you some information that might be useful about things to think about before you get here, things to make sure you are on top of as we go. I'm going to cover some really basic stuff, including making sure you have your visa sorted, accommodation, some things to know about Welcome Week and staying in the UK, and a bit of everything else, just to make sure you feel a bit confident that when you get here, you'll know what to do, okay? If you see me looking this way, it's because that's where the chat is. I am keeping an eye if there are questions that you're asking me. However, you'll also see my colleagues, Rebecca, maybe posting links or answers to any questions that you ask. So if I don't pause to answer your question immediately, we'll get to it anyway. Don't worry, all right? Let's get started. So as I said, we're going to cover a lot of really sort of basic things that will range from some light stuff on visas and what you should be doing or thinking about now, all the way through to thinking about accommodation, things to think about as you arrive, things to think about in terms of settling in, okay? As you may be able to tell, I was an international student not that long ago, so I'm very familiar with the experience of coming to the UK to study, and I'm going to try and tell you a bit about what my experience was and what you might be able to gain. All right, so let's go. At this point, you should be on track to get your visa. For those who don't know, if you are a student studying in the UK, you need to have a student visa in order to stay here, right? I am certainly no expert on visas. I'm not going to give you advice on the process, but from where I sit, the process really does have 5 steps. Applying to the university and getting accepted onto your new course, filling out all the details as part of our cash shield system, getting your application reviewed, getting your pre-CAS issued, getting your official cash issued, and then getting your student visa, okay? Can I just sense check from everybody in the call, where are you in that process? So can I just get a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, or a 5, depending on where you are in terms of getting your visa, right? Okay, maybe we're thinking a bit, not very chatty. Excellent, Chris. You're a UK national, not relevant to you, in which case, don't worry about it. But for those who aren't UK nationals, Ali, you're a 5, excellent. Annabelle, you're a UK national, so not relevant to you either. Excellent, good. The reason I started with visas is because many of our students are coming from overseas. Anya, you're a 5, Dre, you're a 5, that's excellent. For anybody who might be a little bit later in the process, remember that our entire application process is handled through Cash Shield. So we don't accept any documents by email. You have to upload and do everything through the Cash Shield process, right? If you've already done all of that, or you're a UK national, then you're just fine. You have nothing to worry about, okay? If you do need help, please do get in touch. Please don't be a stranger. Please don't struggle on your own. If you have CAS-related queries, contact the admissions the specific inbox that we have for CAS-related queries. So it's admissions.cas@kent.ac.uk. If you have any other general applicant queries, you're stuck anywhere in your application process, you can contact KBS Admissions, and my good friend Debbie Cook is the one behind that inbox. So if you have any questions now, feel free to put them in the chat and Debbie might be able to help. Or you can always get in touch with Kent Union, right? It sounds like we're all okay on the visa process though. We're all at 5, so we're gonna jump ahead. If you're thinking about, or if you're coming here to study, I imagine one of the main things you might be a little bit worried about is accommodation, right? Where am I going to live? And hopefully you've already booked and sorted your accommodation. If you haven't, then don't worry, late applications will always be considered as long as there is still space available, right? You should be getting sent details of your accommodation, where you're gonna be, key things to know, and there are pre-arrival webinars that are happening today. I think the next one's at 11, and later in the week or next week to tell you a bit more about what to expect. So if you can, make sure to catch those, right? The key thing you have to remember to do, or you should remember to do, is register. There is a My Accommodation portal that you will have to go to, and there will be information on what you need to do in terms of getting settled in, right? The key thing is to make sure that you have your arrival pass. You can download it ahead of time, especially if you're traveling in from abroad and you may not be sure about your internet situation. You can download your arrival pass ahead of time, have it on your phone or your laptop, and then you show up to your college reception and you can collect your keys, okay? That is how that tends to work. Key thing to do is just head to the My Accommodation portal and you'll be able to find more information about what to do. There's lots of places to find more information about what to expect in terms of accommodations and arrival. Obviously, if you are staying in private accommodation, which many of our PGT students are, you will find that it's a good idea to start getting in touch with your landlord, making sure that you have your arrival times all set up and that you're aware of how to get your keys, where you're signing your tenancy agreement, etc., right? But as long as you are coming to stay with us on campus, the best advice for you to do is to follow this link to kent.ac.uk/accommodation/Canterbury/arrivals, which I see Rebecca is posting in the chat. And that will tell you a bit more about what you need to do in terms of your accommodation, right? The process really is very straightforward. We've made it as simple and user-friendly as possible. If you have any questions about accommodation, Susanna is here from the accommodation team. Pop them in the chat and she'll be able to answer. The only thing I will add to that, which I will come back to later, is if you are an international student, you're arriving from abroad on arrivals weekend, which is the 27th to the 28th, there is an airport shuttle service that's running. It will take you from a major airport to campus. Please do take a look, check out how it works. It might make things just a little bit easier for you in terms of getting here. I remember I had a very detailed plan of how to get to my accommodation as an international student. I did not have a detailed plan for how to get from the airport to my accommodation. So that was quite a surprise. So being able to make use of a shuttle service might be a good idea. The key thing you're going to have to do once you get here is enroll and register, okay? Enrollment is where you get an email from our online portal, KenVision, and you have to complete an online form. It will tell you it will ask you about your personal details, so name, date of birth, etc., what course you're doing, whether you have the right to study. You'll have to upload a copy of your passport and any immigration documents. You'll have to have your course details, your education history, all of this kinds of stuff, right? That is one of the key things you will have to do to start as a student. You'll also have to register, okay? Registration tends to be when you get here, you confirm your finances, and if applicable, you choose any modules that you have to do, okay? You will get an email about registration. You will get an email that will ask you to set up your IT account. This is a thing you will also have to do as a student, okay? Once you've enrolled and registered, you will get information about your Kent ID card. It's this thing, right? This is important because it gets you into some of the buildings, as well as it's a tool that you can use to pay for essential things like your meal plan, right? So what I'm going to encourage you all to do is make sure that you have a plan and a timeline to enroll and register, because around about this time of the year, I start looking at the numbers of students who have enrolled and registered, right? You need to enroll and register to get access to your IT account, which will have access to your or to everything on campus, from the Wi-Fi to our online platform, Moodle, to your emails, to everything. So this is an important process to keep an eye out for. So keep an eye on your emails, all right? You'll also have to make sure that you pay your tuition fees. Typically, students will pay tuition fees both now and later on. So this will be something for you to be aware of and to keep an eye out for. Additionally, it is possible to set up a payment plan for the tuition fees. So if you do need that, there is information on how to get in touch with the team to ask about paying tuition fees at this link here. So kent.ac.uk/guides/paying tuition fees. Okay. I think I just heard somebody, so I'm not sure if that was a question. No. Okay. We're all good. There are also other things you'll have to pay and be aware of. So you'll have to pay your accommodation costs. And typically, most people will do this by credit or debit card or bank transfer, right? Again, it's a good idea to make sure you are on top of and have a clear plan for paying these kinds of things. The last thing you want to be worrying about when you get here is paying for tuition and accommodation fees. So before you leave, make sure you have a clear plan for how you pay these things and when, okay? Make sure you understand when your payment deadlines will be, that kind of thing, okay? Be proactive about getting in touch if you think you might have trouble with paying for any of these things, because it's always better to be proactive, reach out first, rather than having the university chase you, okay? I'm going to pause there for a second. Does anybody have any questions you want to ask about accommodation, or getting here, or registering, or enrolling on your course? Anything that you might want to know, myself or Susanna will be able to answer.
I don't know if we have any questions coming up in the chat. We did have one just about asking for these slides afterwards. And I did respond in the chat, but we will be sending out recordings of the session later, and some slides so you can review at your own time. But I don't know if we have any questions specifically about accommodations yet.
I was just going to say, if you can think of anything else a little bit later after the presentation, then you can still join our pre-arrivals webinar at 11.
Susanna, can you pop the link for that webinar in the
Yes,
chat? I've been trying to find it.
Let me
on
find
my
it.
second
Yeah,
monitor.
I'll post it in the chat.
Thank you. Okie doke. Then I'm going to plow ahead. If you do have any questions, don't be shy. Feel free to pop them in the chat. Okay. I'm looking over here so we can see them, and myself or someone from the team will definitely answer. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about getting here then. So once you arrive, let's say everything is going to plan. Arrivals weekend for us is the 27th and the 28th of September, which means welcome week. Big kickoff for the start of term is the 29th through to the 3rd of October. Okay. And you might be wondering what you have to do, what do we expect, what things are important at this stage. So I'm going to tell you. One of the most common things students worry about before they get here is, what do I bring? Whether that's because you're a home student and you're traveling down in a car that you're about to stuff full of everything you've ever owned, or it's because you're an international student and you are worried about how much stuff you can fit in your bags. There is really helpful guidance on what to pack and what to bring. The thing I always reflect on is, you can only bring as many things as you can carry, which sounds stupid to say out loud, but it is a reasonable thing to think about. You don't need to pack a giant flat screen or indeed things that might seem to be things that are essential, like a kettle, because you'll have them in your accommodation, right? Or most accommodation will have them. And this is where my advice to you is to check and make sure you're aware of what things are included in your accommodation agreement, right? It will typically tell you if you're staying in halls, there will typically be a listing of what things are available, and there will be a link in one of the subsequent slides that you can take a look at. But also, you can always buy those kinds of things here, right? Shops in Canterbury will typically have more or less anything you could want, but make sure you're packing essential items, right? Clothes, toiletry, stationery, things you need every day, right? These are the kinds of things that will be challenging to go out and buy in a pinch. So make sure you have your essentials. Don't be like me, because I showed up in the UK coming from a tropical climate without a coat or a jumper or any kind of warm clothing at all. So think about the weather, do your research. The weather isn't as bad because we're in Kent. It is quite a moderate climate, but think about, especially if you're coming from abroad, how you will respond to that climate, right? Think about how you're going to pay for things. Obviously, one of your priorities when you get here will be setting up a bank account. It's an essential thing to have. But think about how you might want to pay for things in the interim, whether that's using a card and just taking the international currency fees or getting some cash ahead of time. You will need to set up a bank account. It is essential, but don't worry too much about carrying loads of cash. The UK is mostly a cashless society. I actually haven't held money in quite some time because I pay for everything using my card or my phone, right? Make sure you have all of your key documents. It's a good idea to have photocopies of them, just in case you have to give them to anyone. Originals will be required by the team that will be enrolling and registering you. They will need to see them to check them. So make sure that you have those with you, right? Key things like copies of any qualifications, copies of any passports, your visa, etc., right? Also, and this is an interesting reminder, it's a good idea if you can to buy some adapters. The UK uses 3-pin plugs. They are quite distinctive, not like plugs that you find anywhere else. So it's a good idea to make sure you bring those with you, at least until you buy some electronics here in the UK, right? The best bit of advice that, I asked one of my colleagues who was an international student a bit more recently than I, what their advice was, and their advice was to bring some decorations. One of the things that you may struggle with as a student is homesickness. You may find it's a bit challenging to, if you are coming from abroad, to live in a different country. If you are coming from quite far away, it may be challenging to live away from home or away from your family. Try and think of things that might make it a bit homey. Don't try and recreate your house, which will be advice I'll give you later, but try and make sure you're comfortable is their advice. I definitely didn't do that. I stuffed mostly clothes and books into 2 suitcases, and that's what I did. But there you go. There are packing lists of useful things you can bring with you that you can take a look at. So there is this one, which I will just quickly open so I can put the link in the chat. Because this one is if you are living on campus, there's a useful little list that will be helpful. You can also find out more about what's included in your accommodation. And there are useful suppliers like UniKitOut that will offer you like pre-packaged kits of things that you can buy that will just make the whole moving process a bit easier, right? Everything from pots and pans to clothing hangers, they'll buy a little kit. And that will, again, just make things a bit easier for you if you're traveling and aren't looking forward to having to go buy all your stuff, right? It is certainly, looking at it over the weekend, I certainly felt like I might have gotten it because my first few days in the UK were very much scrambling around to buy stuff and realizing it's not always easy to figure out where stuff is, especially while you're waiting for your IT account to come in. So these kinds of things are all things that might be useful to look into now. If you haven't already and you're traveling in, please do look to book your flights as soon as possible. Most people will travel in on the 27th or the 28th if they can. Obviously, if you're an international student and you're coming from quite far away, there might not be flights at that time. So book them near to that. If you're getting here much earlier, it will be something to check in with the accommodations team about, right? Do, again, as I mentioned, keep in mind that there is the airport transfer service that's running that weekend. So take a look, make use of it if you can. A tip that I got from my colleague was to check in and see if there are any other students who might be traveling on the same flight, and see if you can share a taxi. I'm actually not sure what the best way to do that is, but there are useful platforms where our students are agglomerating, like UniQuest. Is UniQuest the word I'm looking for? There are useful platforms where our students are agglomerating, and you can try and find other students who might be traveling from where you are. Okay, now let's get to the exciting bit. So you've gotten here. It's the 29th of September. It's Welcome Week. And you are staring down brand new campus that has a lot of people on it, right? Don't panic too much, okay? Welcome Week is fairly straightforward. Your Monday of Welcome Week kicks off with a bunch of sessions where you meet key people from the business school. I'm the first one. So it's not going to be too strange. You'll see me again, and then you'll spend some time with people from your course, your directors of studies. We'll show you around for a bit, and then we'll kick you out to go meet other students from across the university, okay? There is a lot of stuff happening in Welcome Week. Everything from global events to showcases of what different professional service teams offer, to student societies. There are sports clubs running. There's loads of different stuff happening in that first week, okay? So there's a lot to do. Take a look at the link, get a sense of what's on offer. I guarantee you it does not matter where you're coming from, what you're interested in. There are other people who are here who will be interested in more or less the same thing as you. Universities are the most cosmopolitan, diverse places you will ever be. There are other people here who have your interests. So take a look, figure out what you might be interested in, and make the most of it, okay? Your Welcome Week timetable is currently available, so you can take a look and figure out what is on offer for you. If you follow this link, it will take you to your pre-arrival Moodle Hub. You will have to sign up or log in somehow. Thanks, Rebecca. I beat you to it. It will take you to your pre-arrival Moodle Hub, and that is a really useful place to find your timetable, as well as any other useful information about arriving, getting settled in, getting started on your course. You'll also see another video there with me welcoming you to the business school. Hi, it's me again. It's not, this isn't a scary place. You just have to keep wandering around looking for different versions of me somewhere, okay? Once you get here, that hub will transition into our official student hub, which will have a lot more information about your course and how your degree is run. But for now, that hub is the most useful place for you to look, okay? If you have a look on there, you will be able to see a Welcome Week timetable for your course specifically, okay? I will show you what I mean. So if you click on that link, it will take you to this page which has Welcome Week timetables, and you can see the different timetables for your specific course, okay? You can download it, and it will tell you where you need to go in terms of rooms, what's happening for your specific course, okay? Everybody will have a lot of events on Monday where you'll meet me, plus other staff, plus other teams, okay? So it's a good idea to start engaging. If you are getting here a bit before the 28th, there are some quants workshops that are running. These are for some of our more numbers-based courses. So business analytics, logistics and supply chain, the finance suite of programs. If you are on these kinds of courses, these are a set of workshops that we run in that week leading up to the start of term, because we want you to feel a bit comfortable with the more maths and stats bits of your course, especially because we know some of you don't have background studying heavily quantitative courses. If that's you, then feel free to come along to these workshops. They're also running online, so you can make the most of that if you are a student on one of these courses, okay? There is more information on them on the Arrival Hub, so take a look. It's on the same page with the timetable. Okay, I'm going to pause for a second, just go and just ask if anybody has any questions about arriving, getting here, or what that welcome week is going to look like. Anything we want to know?
Is there anything that for that kind of like welcome week and those workshops, is there anything that students will need to bring with them or anything that they should kind of keep in mind to prepare for their kind of welcome week sessions?
Absolutely not. If you are a student, then the only thing you need to bring is yourself. We won't expect you to bring anything or do anything in particular, or we won't require you to take any notes or whatever. This is your welcome week activities really are just a chance for you to settle in, right? If you are taking part in the quants workshops, there will be kind of an expectation that you're prepared to do a bit of quantsy stuff, but that really is it, okay? So I think my suggestion will be to focus on just settling in, yeah? Chris, that's a good question. So the question is, would I recommend the quants workshops for someone on strategic project management? It's not a very quantsy degree, is strategic project management. So it will be entirely up to you. I always tell students that quantitative skills, numerical skills are the most heavily transferable skills that you can have as part of your studies or just in life generally. One of the most useful skills that I have is being good at Excel, and any managerial role that will be useful. But it's up to you in terms of how you want to spend your time. So not essential, but could be up to you. Okay, let's move on. So some key things you'll need to do. And these are just reminders. I'm sure that you've seen these bits of advice a million times before. So first one, set up a bank account. There are banks available in the city center where you will be able to set up an account. There are a lot of options available for students. You aren't the first student who's ever had to register a bank account, trust me, right? So make sure you get started on that early. It should be one of the first things that you're prioritizing doing, especially or if you're not from the UK, right? Additionally, check if your phone will work in the UK. You're very much going to be in a situation where there will be Wi-Fi on campus. There is guest Wi-Fi you can use while your IT account's being set up, but it's something to think about while you're waiting for other things to come through, right? If your phone is unlocked or unregistered, then there are loads of different cheap SIM cards available. I will be very transparent with all of you and tell you that my phone is on like a £5 a month plan because I don't use it very often because I go between my house, which has Wi-Fi, and my office, which has Wi-Fi, right? That is more information about my life than I should have given you in this kind of meeting. Never mind, right? But these kinds of options are available. Lastly, if you're coming from Outside of Kent, please do make sure you register with a GP. There is a GP on campus. There is a medical center. It's just down the road from where I am now in the business school. It is a really essential thing to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, that you're maintaining your health while your studies are happening. Okay? So, these are key things to just make sure you're thinking about now. I'm now going to talk for a bit about student life, right? Because you're obviously not coming here just to be in the classroom listening to myself or everybody else. You're coming here for the broader experience, right? And as I said earlier, universities are incredibly cosmopolitan places. There are people from 150 plus different countries who live here. So you can find other people who are like you, who are interested in the things you're interested in, right? One of the key things that students struggle with is that settling in bit, that sense of belonging, that sense of feeling like this is a place where you're supposed to be. And the advice I will give to you is, if you are looking, you will find a community. Yeah, it is here and available, whether that's a community on your course or a community in your society where people are interested in the same kinds of things that you're interested in, or it's the broader Canterbury community, right? There are other people here who share your interests, your values, and you will be able to connect with them. Okay, you just have to look. Speaking of which, our students' union is Kent Students' Union, and they offer a wide variety of different student societies. These are student-led groups that are interested in a wide variety of different things, whether that's alternative and indie music, playing hockey, mountaineering, law. There are societies for specific nationalities. There's an Iranian society, an Italian society, a Caribbean society. There's a boxing society. There's a mindfulness society. It doesn't matter what you're interested in. There are other people interested in more or less the same thing. There is a barbecue society. I don't know what they do, but that is the society I have most wanted to befriend, right? There are other people here who will share your interests. You just have to reach out to them. If you are looking and there is nobody in a society that you are interested in, make one. You're a business school student. We can do that, right? Make a society for what you're interested in. You can do it, right? Other people will join, trust me. Okay? So there will be community here for you. Take advantage of it. This is not to say there won't be some kind of culture shock, right? Little things will surprise you. I'm from a culture where I think things are very fluid. People don't really show up on time to things. And I was surprised that the expectation was, this meeting starts at 9. I'm supposed to be here at 9. Okay, didn't know that. I'd have just showed up at some time, right? You will find little things like that that will surprise you, right? It can be hard, but it will get easier. You will acclimatize, okay? My advice to you in terms of making things easier, stay in touch with friends and family. It is easy to fall into a trap of disconnecting yourself because you moved away. Don't. It's easy to fall into a trap of getting too excited during Welcome Week or the first few weeks when there's lots of parties and people to meet. Take care of yourself, eat well, sleep well, and you'll be okay. Often, and I know this sounds like rubbish advice, right? Because, most of you will be mature students who've been around for a little while, and I'm telling you to make sure you have a nap if you're tired, right? But I'm saying this from experience. Our students come here every year, and I can see how they have a quite hard time in the first few weeks where they're not really taking care of yourself. So take care of yourself, right? Make sure that you have some things from home, whether it's a small thing like food that you like, or a little thing like having your makeup and being able to, look normal or look how you expect to see yourself, right? Little things, small rituals, small routines will make the difference in terms of you feeling comfortable here, settling in, right? It will be easy to jar out of the routine you expect and find that you are a bit unmoored, yeah? So create a little ritual for yourself, create a routine. One of the most useful advice that I got as a student was around creating a routine, treating it like a job. And I went to the library every day at 9 and went home at 5. And that was really useful for me because it meant that I had a schedule, a routine, and that kept me sane and healthy, right? Remember that if you are having a bit of a hard time in those first few weeks, you're having a hard time settling in, there is support available, okay? This is a supportive community. You won't be the first student who has had the challenge that you're having. We are here to support you, whether that's through the student union or it's through our student advisors or student support and well-being service who have support for if you're a disabled student, or support around well-being through to your academic advisors. These are academics who are available to talk to you about your studies. Everybody's assigned one and you'll meet them in Welcome Week. Or even just things like English language support, yeah? You might get here and find that your English language isn't as strong as it was previous, or isn't as strong as you thought, and so you might need a bit of additional support. This support is available. You just have to make use of it, okay? The other advice I will give you is to make use of this time to explore. If you're a UK national and you are not from Kent, have a wander around. It's a beautiful place to be. I am always spending my weekends exploring some new bit of Kent, whether it's the coastline in Margate or it's the Bluebell Forest when it's in bloom. It's a good idea to get out and take a look at the place. Equally, if you're an international student and you're coming here, make sure you're getting the most of your visa, as it were, and exploring around the country, right? Getting the most of London, or even going a bit further abroad. It's relatively easy to hop on the train and explore the rest of the UK, right? While you're here, it is also relatively easy to get around. There are lots of different deals available for buses. Yes, there are taxis that you can find and call, but buses are cheap and relatively easy to use and relatively regular, right? They're quite popular with students. You can get a pass that will last you for most of the year, and it will take you around to most of the city, right? The main places that students will go is between the campus and the city center, and having an easy way to make that journey just makes your entire life easier, right? The culture shock will hit different people in different ways. And my students in the last few years have reported being surprised by everything from how much British people talk about the weather to how much British people like to queue, to how much British people go to the pub, right? There will be lots of small things that you will be surprised by. We tend to form orderly queues. We tend to make a lot of small talk. Gosh, the weather today is terrible. Yes, it really is. I got rained on, but it's not as bad as last week. Will be common conversation in the elevator, right? Don't be surprised if somebody says it to you, especially if you're from a culture where small talk isn't normal. That was me. I did not understand small talk. I also didn't understand going to the pub. The culture I'm from, people only ever go drinking to get drunk. There is not a culture of going to the pub as a sort of family activity. There's bars where you go to really just get drunk, right? But there is a culture in the UK of having a drink with people as a social lubricant, whether that's a tea in the cafe downstairs or it's a pint of beer after classes at 5 p.m., right? Whatever it is, try and take part. Even if you don't drink, that's okay. You can have a non-alcoholic drink or you can have some water if everybody else is having tea, right? It's fine. Try and join in. The UK is also a very walkable place, so you can find that it's very easy to get around, and you'll also find that we send a lot of emails. Once you get your student account, you'll see quite a few in there. Look out for emails from important people. Don't be surprised if you send an email and it takes someone a day to respond. People won't typically respond outside of normal hours, right? You might get some academics who do, but most people will respond during the working day, okay? Some final things that I will add. One thing that students often tell me they're worried about before they arrive is food. British food isn't very bad. We don't eat just beige food, but there are different kinds of food. There are healthy vegan options that are available. Have a look around Canterbury or the neighboring towns. You will find that there's lots of different options available. There are lots of supermarkets in and around the area where you can shop if you like to cook, or if you're going to hop onto a meal plan as a student, there are a lot of different places on campus where you can eat, right? Whether those are local or not, there is a lot of stuff around or available, okay? Last thing I'm going to say, so start thinking about what will come next. It's not too early to have a clear plan for what your year is going to look like. I appreciate that at the moment, most of the stuff you'll be thinking about will be, how do I get here? Where am I going to live? What am I going to eat? Right? But please do keep an eye or keep an ear out for things from the career service, where they will be giving you advice on things that you should be thinking about or thinking about further study or what you might want to do after you graduate, right? It's never too early to start. That is everything I wanted to say. I appreciate that I have just info dumped a large amount of information at you, but there's a lot to think about as you are coming to the UK or coming to study here at KBS, and I wanted to try and cover as much as I could. So we are going to send around the slides as well as the recording for this afterwards. Keep an eye on your emails and you'll see it. If you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat and myself or someone else will be able to answer.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sideeq. We do have one question from a little bit earlier when we were talking about the quants workshop. And someone was wondering about if they're interested in attending virtually. How do they sign up, and Will the sessions be recorded?
We're not going to record the quants workshops, but you can attend online, and we will include a link to sign up when we send out the slides.
Awesome. Thank you. You did mention a little bit about emails, and I thought also I find in the, like, especially in the post-secondary space, I feel like email communication is a lot of the way that you kind of like are talking with academics, with your cohort and stuff like that. Do you have any tips for kind of best practices to think about when kind of facing, I guess, more email communication in the post-secondary space when talking a little bit with your academics or directors of studies? Tips for kind of, yeah, how to interact a little bit more with your professors and stuff like that, in terms of expectations on times you may hear back, or what kind of emails, I mean, maybe you get from students all the time.
I think my advice for staying on top of emails is really that it is a kind of professional skill to learn. It is a key skill for being good in the workplace. And so there are lots of little tips and tricks that you can pick up for Outlook, which is the main email client that the university uses. My advice would be absolutely to commit some time in between all of your socializing and meeting new people and dealing with everything else in those first few weeks to just making sure that you're aware of and understand how to use it effectively. There are loads of different tips and tricks that you can pick up online, loads of little tutorials.
Amazing. Thank you. Oh, and Susanna unfortunately has to head out, but thank you for attending. And if you do have any questions, we'll put the accommodations email into the chat, as well as I'll re-highlight her upcoming webinar in just a few moments. If you are already with the accommodations. Yeah, I guess on top of, I guess, Outlook being suddenly becoming a platform that you use a lot at your time in Kent, what are some of the other kind of softwares and platforms that students will be likely using during their time?
So the main platforms you'll be using are Moodle. Moodle is our virtual learning environment. It is where all of your lecture slides, recordings of lectures, seminar information, reading lists, basically everything to do with your studies will be on Moodle, okay? That's the main thing to make sure that you're aware of, checking regularly, engaging with, right? There will also be information that's useful on Kent Vision. If you've applied to study with us, you've seen Kent Vision before. That same platform will have information like your timetable, who your academic advisor is, these kinds of things, okay? So these are two platforms to make sure you bookmark, save, put a link to on your phone, as well as in your browser, on your computer, and just make sure you're on top of regularly, right? Our main sort of other platforms are Outlook and Teams, both Microsoft products. As a student, you get a subscription to Office 365, which means that you will get Word, Excel, Outlook, Teams, all of these kinds of things as part of your studies here, right? So these are all things to make sure you're using and getting good at because they're available for you.
Thanks, Sadiq. Yeah, if we do have a few minutes left, if anyone does have any questions they want to pop into the chat, but if not, you can always reach out to us at a later time, or you can talk to Sideeq during your welcome week sessions when you meet with him. I definitely think the pre-arrival session, I know, has a lot of other kind of tips and tricks in that session as well. I think a final kind of question, I think we were talking a little bit about traveling and trying to make the most of your time while you're in Kent. I definitely think that it's important to look for all those student discounts that you can while you're here. But on top of kind of making the most of your time in Kent, do you have any tips on kind of making the most out of your time in the Kent Business School? Like, are there, in terms of kind of the things that students should be kind of leaving the program with, are there things to kind of keep in mind throughout their studies as just kind of, I don't know, some of the takeaways or values that they should be kind of like keeping top of mind as they engage with their courses and their projects to kind of make sure they get the most out of their studies?
Yep. So listen, this is going to sound like really stupid basic advice, right? But one of the main, I think, things that students miss out on is just opportunities to engage with academics. Yeah. You know, like, I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but I'm a published expert on sustainability in organizations, right? And I teach a module on that subject. There will be several students who sometimes, for whatever reason, don't come to class, or students who have questions about their assignments but don't come and see me in my office hours. So every academic will have hours where they're available in their office for you to just pop in and ask them questions. Come talk to me. I'm here, right? That will be true of any academic you have. We are available. We are here. Talk to us in class, after class, in our office hours. Send us an email. Be available, be familiar, right? The worst thing that you can do is come to university and then be a stranger from the people who are here to teach you, because realistically, you're paying for us to be here, right? It's only because of you guys that we're here, so make the most of us. Be in contact.
I think that is a great tip. I found even when I was in school, that was always something that I feel like was very important, was try to actually engage with your academics. And I feel like that is a very great place to kind of leave off on. We're at our 11 o'clock now, so we've reached the end of our session. If you do have any more questions for us, again, you can always email at KBS Admissions if you have any more admission-specific questions. I'll put some of the other emails that we have in the chat. And like I said before, you have Welcome Week kind of coming up at the end of September, and that pre-arrivals Moodle session. So definitely take a look through that. There's a lot of really helpful tips. There's that schedule of your Welcome Week and the quants workshop details. More details will be going out in hopefully the next week. We'll be sending out an email to all of our incoming students with just the recording for this session. We'll send over slides and any other additional details before you get started. But thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Sideeq, for all this very insightful information coming as both a prior student and as the current head of KBS. I appreciate all that insight. And thank you, Debbie and Susanna, for joining us. And yeah, if you guys have any more questions, you can always email the admissions team, kbsadmissions@kent.edu. I'll put that in the chat, and email the accommodations team. Susanna's accommodation webinar has just started. If you are in the accommodations currently and want to join that, we'll say goodbye to you now, and thank you so much for attending, and we hope to see you this autumn. Apologies.